Yep, that's trash. That one's definitely trash. Only half of a ball joint? Yep. Bunch of cracks. These are all trash. Yeah. There's only one of these. That could only mean one thing. We're almost ready to start reinstallation of all of our components. We have one part left to replace. In our last video, we recoated the differential, cleaned it all up. We also did the rear cover, which I'll show you here in a minute. Last thing is our two differential seals. So we'll go ahead and get these popped out. For installation, I'm just using one of the cups from my ball joint kit or bearing cup kit. This is the one from Harbor Freight, MC21-1. And it's just big enough to fit in there and not overdrive our seal. So we're gonna start by popping this old one out. I already did the other side. You know, it's probably a good time to put safety glasses on. One of my favorite creators, Matt Ross, I see him under cars all the time without safety glasses, and I see people commenting, maybe put some on. I'm gonna listen to those comments.
Watch out! Safety glasses.
Safety glasses. For the installation of our side shaft seal, there's a ridge in here. We're just going down flush with that ridge. In the beginning, when we were dropping the subframe out, we made this little cradle here to support the diff so that we could mount the cradle and everything to it. Now this will be a great place for us to work off of to get everything reassembled. A little diff oil in there still. Now would have been a fantastic time to install a limited slip, but like I said previously, this is just going to be a fun daily driver. I don't think the driving performance of a limited slip was totally worth it, being that like one of these things built is $2,000 to $3,000. So the diff looks great, but what's going to really set this thing off is all the hard work we put into the cover. We decided to go ahead and powder coat it the same color as our brake calipers. And I recognize you're only going to be able to see the bottom little section here, but tell me that does not look amazing on this fresh black diff here. A couple of things to note when you're either painting or powder coating one of these is you want to make sure your sealing surface for your O-ring stays clean here. And on this specific cover, that your vent opening at the top that runs through here also stays open. Something to also pay attention to if you're pressure washing the housing, that water can in fact get in there. Now, as far as the seal, like I said, we're going to use the Loctite 518. This is a gasket maker flange sealant. This stuff says in the directions to use the primer activator, but when I'm reading online, there are plenty of use case scenarios that say it doesn't need it. So I'm going to run the risk of not having the activator and just using it. Now that I'm using the bottle, I feel like this might have been plenty to do the transmission. And for the bolts, we actually spray painted the bolts black to give them some contrast versus powder coating them, which was my original idea. Judah had the idea for the black, and I think that you got that right. I'm going to torque this in stages in a crisscross pattern, just like you would wheels. I can see it squeezing out the top, so it's definitely making a seal. Whew, damn, that thing looks good. I'm really excited about that.
That'll look really good with all of the polished.
I'll set it. Oh, watch that corner.
Careful, man. Pulls it right into place.
Yeah, that works much easier. 106 will do. Judah came in clutch with the polisher, polishing up the whole subframe and both of our lower control arms. And I think they look fantastic. Let me know, what do you think? Is this going to be silly, or is it going to be easy to clean, or would you have gone a different way? On my M5, I painted all of my control arms to match, and I polished my subframe just for fun. With our lower control arm bushings here, in order to get them in the car, I'm just applying a little bit of the polyurethane grease.
Okay, be honest. The control arms look great, right? Yeah. took a couple of hours just to get them half decent.
We are going to be building wheel cribs so that we can do a in-house alignment on this and get all of our bushings torqued under the weight of the vehicle so that we can get them torqued properly and hopefully will last a very long time. These do require a little coercion to pop in there. On the forward one, you have the retained nut bolt head assembly that drops in the backside there and falls straight out the bottom if it's not ready to accept the bolt. So why is it they always say not to do assembly with an impact gun? Well, as you can see, I'm holding a tap and our lateral link did not go in straight and those threads are kind of screaming about it. So yeah, about that. Screw it in by hand, not with an impact. Taking the lessons we learned trying to reassemble that side, I made sure to put this bolt in by hand before I tightened it down and backed it off. The integral link is supposed to be tightened down under load. The two ball joints at the top can be torqued before, and then the two control arm mounting locations here and the mounting locations at the bottom, all of those have to be torqued under load, so we'll have to do that later. This guy up. Boop. The hard part is getting this ball joint to kind of sit down in there flat. You gotta get the integral link and the ball joint, everybody lined up all at once. If the bolt was tapered, it would make it a lot easier, but it's not. There it is, there it is. The forward control arm is easier to get in first, because it requires you to slot it in here. The rear one, you can just put it in and drop it in place. TIS shows that these are 65 Newton meters, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. About right there. Now I am running the discontinued Ibach sway bar back here. I had put new lube on my bushings, and I'm using the factory aluminum brackets. You can upgrade to the steel brackets from the E38, but if you're not doing super hard maneuvering and being crazy with your car, these ones will work just fine. And I painted mine black to give them a little bit more pizzazz. I really want to get the completed subframe up in the car, but we've got a couple of things left to do before we get to that stage. First things first, I want to get the rear coilovers installed because with the subframe out of the way, we have a lot of space for activities. Go ahead and remove our safety stand. If you remember back from our first video, that was when we got all of this exposed, and we just have 3 13 millimeters up here holding these guys in underneath all this insulation.
Yay!
And we're out. While our old shocks weren't exactly bad yet, they did have a ton of wear on them. When we look at our bump stop, you can see just how much of that sucker is worn away. It's just a tiny little nub that's left there, and you can see all the powder down here that's coming out. For our new ones, installation's pretty darn straightforward, just like removal. Got our 3 bolts at the top and the 1 bolt on the bottom. The problem is our height. We're a lot shorter. But first things first, I've already made sure that our lower perch mount is tight because we don't want to change the spring preload. If for some reason these came loose in the instructions, it says to tighten it to no more than 5 millimeters of preload on there. So I've already double checked them. And I'm going to mark them with my paint pen. As far as our actual height adjustment, it's all going to be accomplished here in the base of the shock. And what we want to make sure is that we have at least 25 millimeters of the shock body in this shock tube down below. So that I'm going to mark as well, just for my own reference, which happens to be just above this lower window here, or right at the window. So that's a good reference point just to keep in mind. And last, before we go dropping these in the car, I'm going to unscrew these entirely, and I'm going to coat them in some anti-seize to make sure that in the future, I can get them apart again. So I'm running these on my M5. I went ahead and I measured my shock body, or the tube, distances here, and I can line those up. I'm at 143 millimeters on the M5. Come over here, there's 144, 145 there. So I'm gonna get a rough set right there of where I want the car to sit. Before going in the car, I went ahead and I adjusted mine full soft and then 5 clicks towards hard. I am gonna be using the extension rods, and I'll do the same thing. Again, I talk about my M5 because it was a great learning experience. So I'm gonna drill a hole in my parcel shelf, and I'll shorten the adjusters so that it just pops up through, and it will hide right there by the headrest. The new screws are 12 millimeter versus the 13 that we took out, and the torque on these is somewhere between 24 and 28 newton meters, according to TIS.
Would that be for the old ones though, and these would be different?
These should be similar. These have a serrated nut on them, so they're going to lock into place, where the factory nuts were a lock nut that you had to replace each time.
Which I'm guessing nobody did.
Yeah. If your parts guy got it right at the dealer, you got new nuts. If you ordered shocks and your parts guy didn't get it right, you put in shocks without the new nuts. That's why I was always a firm believer that a good parts guy, a good service writer, was somebody that could also, or had previously, worked on the cars, because they had that kind of knowledge. And if they had been out of the game for a little while, they knew how to find the knowledge, which was the most important. Or at the very least, ask. Of course, we got stung by the while we're in there bug, and we cleaned up all of this broken sound deadening material and added new sound deadening material. That way, for that subwoofer that we installed previously, we're hopefully not going to incur any new rattles out of here. For the lines that are coming up through the parcel shelf, I used a chisel that I heated up red hot to melt the fabric into place before drilling through the parcel shelf. I'd say that's a reasonable height.
Yeah, that looks great.
Just needs to push down a little bit more here. This really helped in not causing the fabric to fray, kept everything nice and clean, as you can see here. Our
Yeah,
subframes.
that's way too high. I can't do anything.
You can't torque it that high?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
The subframe bolts get torqued to 163 newton meters. Nothing?
Not really.
Yeah, you really don't want to jump on it like that when you're trying to torque.
Yeah, I cannot do that.
Oh, there you go. Now you can pull. Quick lesson in righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. All you got to do is put yourself on the other side of the bar. Just don't let it come loose and take your teeth out there.
Yeah, my very, very expensive teeth.
Let's see how our little plastic wrap did to keep all the dirt and debris out of here. Looks like it did a really good job. Everything looks super shiny still. I don't see any crunchies. We'll just push this all back so that it can reseal. There we go. Always put these on by hand. I know I said it when we were taking it apart, but you do not want to strip these or damage the studs. And then these guys should be replaced.
This guy I like to work around slowly. As you pull one in, the others will loosen up. But geez, you can see just how much this thing is leaking. We're gonna have to split the case to fix this. All right, we've got our list of torque specs. So we're gonna start with the front lower control arm bolt. That's the 16. We're gonna be taking that to 58 Newton meters. Thankfully, the nut is stuck in place, so I don't have to counterhold that. Yep, 62 will do. Digital torque wrench, it's pretty easy to go past if you're not being really careful.
It's annoying too because it beeps at like 10 torque before.
All right, our front upper control arm is 110. Really, you should be tightening the nut side, but there is no chance getting a torque wrench on that side. Well,
So what if you just held the torque wrench on this side and tighten that side?
it won't turn the torque wrench.
That's true.
109.5. That seems sufficiently close to me. It's set up right here. Oh, so nice, it fits. I thought the wheel might be too much in the way. Are we turning on that side?
No?
Okay, so we're tightening down.
Yeah.
Boy, this was plenty loose. Ah, there it is.
Yeah, like the car is compressing onto us.
Stop bolt only goes to 105, so that's much easier. All right.
Nice.
Teamwork.
Ow!
You laying on something too?
No, I like popped a vein in my hand or something trying to get up.
That's everything except for adjustments.
Yeah, it feels nice to just lay down.
This is why I waited and saved all those years for a lift.
Because why not? Our last piece underneath the car as far as suspension is I picked up a set of M5 lower cross braces. They were off of a wrecked car and this one was pretty bent, but a little bit of time on our press and looked good as new. We also gave them a fresh coat of paint. If you find some on eBay, hopefully they come with hardware. Mine did not. I picked them up from a local salvage yard and they came both bent, dirty, and missing all of the hardware. They were also missing these rear protection covers. So for now, I'm going to forego them because I thought the 540 ones were the same. They're not. And it did come with this center section, which is exactly the same as the 540. So we went ahead and just painted the new one to get everybody looking nice. The only other thing that we added to these were some dense foam. Right here on the M5, there's a strip of foam that sits here. And I think it's so that if the tank is swelling out, it doesn't rub on here. So I just put some dense foam that I had. Well, I'd say that turned out pretty damn good. And here we are pulling the wheels off yet again to do the front struts this time. So to remove our front struts, we're gonna do a couple of extra things. These front rotors look like hell after cleaning. So what we're gonna do is not cheap out the next time we buy rotors, and we'll get the ones that are zinc plated so that this doesn't happen. But for now, what we're gonna do is we'll pull these off, sand them, and paint them, which also means we're gonna pull our brakes off. All of that is just gonna give us more room for activities in here, which will make things a bit easier. Where are your safety glasses?
Not on my head, that's for.
Your mom would kill me if I blinded you.
Yeah.
I go blind, she'll be mad, but she'd get over it. The bottom one's a little harder to get to.
Much harder.
Do you need a longer extension?
Nope, it works.
Don't lose the caliper. With our rotor out of the way, it's drying right now, our caliper properly supported. There are only a couple of bolts that we need to address to get the bottom of our shock to release. We're gonna take the clamp bolt out plus the top bolt for our sway bar end link.
We want to unbolt or unscrew our ride height level sensor because when this droops out, you stand a really quick chance of breaking that. And then we're going to be using this bleed tool spreader. So this is going to be going in the back to spread the clamp out of the way. Come on, there we go. Always really leery that these are going to snap on me because the ends of these like to break off, especially when you droop out the suspension. That guy right there is what likes to break. We've got a 16 counter hold and an 18 on the back. And that's our pinch bolt. That'll be easier than trying to get the ball joint off of there. I never had one of these tools when I was in the dealer, so I always just took a wedge back here, hammered it down in there, and away I went. Give this a shot.
Will the suspension actually come down that far?
Yeah. It's under a lot of tension from the lower control arms, so it'll take a bit of coercion to get it out. And another area to look at while you're working on your car is these upper strut towers. They like to mushroom out. So if you picture your 3 bolts up there, it's only 2. If you take a really hard hit from a pothole, it'll push up and it'll bend the upper strut tower. You can fix this with a block of wood. You just have to reshape the sheet metal a little bit. Whoop, there we go, right in the face.
Like butter.
Like butter. That brake line's holding it nicely. Not what we want. I like to clean the bore up here a little bit. That way, as we're trying to slide our shock down and in, we're gonna get full engagement.
They don't only go in that much.
What's that?
They only go in that much.
Yep, it stops. It can't go any further than that. If you're not feeling particularly jacked, you can use a jack to pump this thing up and get it to hold everything in place. Plus these guys have extra long studs, so you can run a strut brace, which will help to prevent the ballooning if you're driving your car really hard. I run a Mason Engineering strut brace on my M5. I run that car very hard, it's track only, and it has worked out just marvelously. So from here, rather than lifting the car and then trying to push everything back up into place, I'm gonna put my clamp bolt in. Don't forget your sway bar bracket and your ABS sensor bracket. When we bought my son's car, the previous owner had changed out the front struts, and neither of them were fully seated down, and the suspension geometry was kind of weird. So when we found that, it explained a whole bunch. And now we don't have any more rust.
Should have painted the bolt too.
I need to scoot over it. Too close.
All right, so we've got the off-road version of our 540 here. I can get my whole hand in above here. That's not going to be low enough. I think maybe these springs were a little tighter than I thought they were going to be. So let's see how far we are. The M Sport suspension would be 603 millimeters, and we are 625. So we've got to come down 25 millimeters at least from here to be where the M Sport would sit. And in the back, I think it's something like 585 or 595. And we're sitting at 610. So at least 10 mil in the back.
And that's 30 to the M5.
Yeah, the M5 is sitting at 570 all the way around or thereabouts. So we got a ways to adjust. So after our first adjustment, we made 2 full rotations of the strut down into the tube, and it lowered it a grand total of 2 millimeters. So we're gonna try for 8 more rotations to get it down to 600 on the right rear. Judah is currently working on that. And it's kind of a pickle to fit in there with the wheel on, but we're being stubborn about it and leaving the wheel on here and giving it a shot.
It's also just really tight.
All right, here's where we are on the back. On the left side, it went 17 turns to bring it from 613 to 582. On the right side, we went 14 turns from 610 to 582. Now we're gonna bring the front down an equal amount so that we've got a nice level ride height and see how many turns that takes. I'm guessing somewhere around 20.
That's a lot.
Dude, that's tucked now.
I don't know if we can fit square setup on that. It looks awesome, but I don't know if we can fit square.
That does look good. Do you have the tape? It's right here. Give this one a quick measure.
Hold on, you don't look. You're gonna have to guess.
Okay.
All right, close your eyes.
Closing my eyes. Camera's not, but I'm closing my eyes.
All right. What do you say?
582.
How? 582.
Yeah, all right.
582
Really?
right there. Really, right there.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how you guessed that right away.
Yeah, that's pretty damn spot on. Check the other side. Man, that dine-in looks good every single time. And the custom section.
All right, 583.
Okay, I mean, a millimeter is
Yeah.
perfectly fine. It's gonna settle more than that. So, now what?
Arcades. Ah.
The arcades, yeah.
But now, like, this is already
this
low
setup
enough.
just-
This is low
It
enough.
really makes these E38 wheels pop. The M parallels in E38 fitment, you get a bit more lip in the back. Oh, does that look good?
Except if it was like to here,
Yeah, you can't come out that far though because
you can.
the tire tucks into the fender and the 540 doesn't have rolled fenders like the M5,
Yeah.
which could be another project for another day. So before I lock this down, I'm just gonna give it a quick shot of some WD. We already have anti-seize on the rings inside. And then for our torque.
Okay, Jason from the future here. While I'm editing, I thought it was an important note that while we set the suspension up here, it did wind up settling about 8 to 10 millimeters, which at the end of the day put it down right around that 570 mark, which is right where the M5 sits, and that's too low for the street. So since then, I've adjusted it 2 more times, and I've settled out at liking right around 585 to 590-ish, which is about where Dynan suspension stage 3, stage 2 winds up sitting, and it looks really good. So just keep a mental note that you're gonna have to make this adjustment more than once as you play with the car and you decide what your pucker factor is, going over speed bumps and driving into driveways.
I'm just gonna use a hammer. Lock that guy down. And if you haven't already guessed, we're gonna green marker everything so that it, should anything possibly move, we'll have some sort of a reference point. And if we loosen it again in the future, we'll wipe that off and we'll start over. Now we'll do the other 3, get the wheels back on, and put it on the ground and see what it looks like down there. I bet it's gonna look good.
We should put it on the ground though.
The ground, not the
ground.
the cradles. Even though in the next video we'll be doing the DIY alignment, but we'll get it on the ground, see what it looks like anyhow. Judah wants me to drive this out of the garage and turn it around before he leaves on vacation for a month, leaving me with no helper here in the shop. All by myself. Nobody to make fun of me, except you guys, of course.
All right, bye.
That sounds ridiculous.